back to another episode of the Soup Bowl. I am your host, Renee Murdoch, and I am so happy that you are here back with us, that you are listening, that you're liking, that you're subscribing, that you're sharing, and that you are going on this life journey with me. We were never meant to do life alone, and so I'm so happy that you're here on today. I'm so happy to be doing life with you as well. So, hey, if you got questions or you just want to chop it up, please do send that information in to info@4mosaic.com, or you can go to www.4mosaic.com, and we are here to hear from you, and put it in the comments, right? So we can know what you're thinking about all of our wonderful, good, and wonderful episodes. So here we are. We know that when we get in the Soup Bowl, that life does get messy. And if you are doing life right, it will humble you all at the same time, because we just out here in these streets, right, learning and growing from one another. That's what we're doing. So what we're going to get into the Super Bowl on today. I was thinking about something, and I was going to post it, and then I decided not to post it. Then I got busy, and then, other thoughts came into my mind. And then I was like, I don't think I should post this, because I feel like there is more to say in reference to this, like just to kind of like think it out, talk it out. Maybe, I personally, right, have went through this, and still making sure that I keep this as a core, that I'm living a healthy lifestyle, right? So this is a thought that came to me. It says, if I give all of me, what do I have left? Right? If I give all of me, what do I have left? And I believe that a lot of us actually go through this in the name of, leading, in the name of our roles, in the name of ministry, whatever the case may be. I believe that we go through this and we feel as though, it's okay, when actually it's not, right? So if I give all of me, right, then really what do I have left, right? So this question really kind of is quietly living, right, I believe, in a lot of us, right, so many of us, that it's not about being selfish, right? So when I was thinking about this, like, is it about being selfless or selfless, right, or being selfish, right? But it's about choosing ourselves, right, at the expense of others, right? It's about survival, right? We're exhausted, we're anxious, we're showing up every day, but inside we're literally broken. We're breaking, right? We're on, what do we say, fumes, literally at this point. And no one can see it, because we're just steady going. We're just steady in this thing. And why are we steady doing this, right? Because we've been conditioned as human beings. We've been conditioned to give. Even when we don't have anything, we've been conditioned to give. Just think about that for a moment. We've been conditioned to give even when we don't have anything. When people are saying, give your last, right? Anything you got, give, because, okay, because we know that those of us that are Christian, right, in the Bible, right, it talks about the Shunammite woman and her son, right, and how, like, she was just going to bake the cake, and her and her son was going to eat, and they were going to die, right, and then the prophet came along, right? So we like to really try to, take that, right, and say, okay, yeah, this is the way we should be living, because we should always be giving our last over everything. But is that really healthy when you think about you're continuously giving? See, they were in a time of famine, right? So sometimes we like to take stories and things, and we want to sprinkle, the word of the Lord upon it, or we want to make people feel guilty in reference to certain things. But the reality is that we're supposed to be living a balanced and healthy life. A balanced and healthy life. And that is not to mean that you're just giving your all because you've been trained, right, conditioned from since you was a little kid to give your last. Share your last, right? Can you remember that when your parent was telling you to share your last, although it was the last piece, right? And everybody else might already had some or whatever the case may be, but you were told that you should share your last. And the thing about it is that we're living in silence in reference to it. Or we may be living audibly like outward, right? But it comes as far as like complaining, right? And negative talking. And it's coming out in that way, right? About how we are feeling because we are truly drowning. We are truly drowning. And the question is, can I breathe long enough in this water, in this deep sea? How long can I breathe underneath all of this? How long? So many of us are living right in a time of emotional overdraft. That's what we're going to call it, emotional overdraft, because we are keeping, we're looking over our time, right, our energy and our own cares, because every time something comes along, it's the yes. It's the yes, right? We want to say yes to everything when someone asks us, can we, will you? It's the yes. And we don't know how to actually say no. And not only say no, but be okay in that no and stand on the no. But we want to be, called upon sometimes. And then there's times where it's just like, I have nothing else to give. You're trying to figure out, how can I make this work? How can I make sure that I'm available for these people, these individuals? You're trying to make sure that's happening. But we rarely stop to ask, what is this costing me? Not just in hours, but in peace and in health and in joy. What is this costing me? Come on, think about it for a second. What is it actually costing you to say yes to all things? Hold on just a second here. So, saying yes to all things means that I have to be all things to all people all the time, because we don't know how to say no and stay on the no. And then sometimes it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to say no, but at the same time that you're saying no, you turn back around and say yes, or you try to figure out a way how to do it. Because we're just wanting to be all things to all people. And we are literally out here drowning. We are literally out here drowning out here. Not in these streets, but in the seas. We're drowning, right? And so there is, your inner person just wants to scream out and be like, help, save me, I'm drowning. But you're actually not saying it, right? What is this costing you? Is it costing you your marriage? Is it costing you a healthy relationship with your children? What is it actually costing you? Right? It's costing you time. It might even be costing you money, because you're the one that's always putting out constantly all the time. Right? I remember a time where I have this, this thing, right, where I'm able to see the need, right? When I go into a space, a room, whatever the case, I'm able to see a need very quickly, right? I see your vision, and then I can see the need. And so I see where the gaps are at. And so I'm like, oh man, I can do that, I can do that, I can do that, I can feel that, or whatever. So initially, right, I don't go in saying like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do all things. I initially go and be like, oh, I can help out here. Where can I help out? Right? In getting involved in this or going on, right? Because again, you've been conditioned that if you're going to be somewhere and be a part of something, that you must serve, right? In any capacity, you must serve. You must give something. The problem with that is that we were not taught how to do that in a healthy way, right? We were taught to say yes. Whatever is being asked of you, say yes. Give, right? And you shall be blessed because of it. Give because it's the honorable thing to do. Give because it's the right thing to do. We've been taught that. And so in doing so, we have grown up in our lives and now we're adults and we've been doing this thing over and over and over again. Right? We've been doing this over and over again. And we've just, been conditioned and now we're just exhausted. We're tired. I see, posts or I hear stories about, parents, can't wait till their children leave, or even single mothers, or them trying to they finally find a balance after the children are out the house, or some devastating moment happens and takes place. But why does it always have to be something that's devastating, right, that happens for us to just get a clue, right? Why does it always have to be like a health issue or something of that sort for us to get a clue of what's happening or what's going on? It really shouldn't come to that, right? It really shouldn't come to that. So I am sending a message to my friend because they're not hearing me. So I'm sending a message right now. So excuse me for a moment. So here we are. We're talking about us making sure that we understand that we cannot be all things, right, to all people all the time, and that we have to undo what has been done from all the years of being conditioned to do this very thing, right? So we have to think about that. I don't know why my friend over there looking at me, peering over his little old man glasses. I don't understand that. So on the bench, please. He's not being nice. So yeah. But like I was saying, we're a lot of us are emotionally overdraft, right? And we're just, continuing on. We're on autopilot. Murdoch is always, telling me, news stories and things of that nature. And some of this is just like, what are they thinking about? How did this happen? How do people just, get so frustrated, right? With their children or their spouses or whatever, that it ends up causing death, murder, somebody being hospitalized or anything of that nature. And because we just got everything so bottled up inside of us that we just literally explode, right? Or you take off and you just don't come back again, right? And you hear about these stories all the time. And it's really sad that we get to this point that we really have to think about that, right? We really have to think about, again, what is this actually costing me? Those who I'm supposed to be giving to, I'm not able to give fully, right, my best self to that relationship because I'm so involved in everywhere else, right? There should be a healthy relationship with me and my spouse. There should be a healthy relationship with me and my children. There should be a healthy relationship with me and my peers, my co-workers, right? There should be healthy relationships. And they become unhealthy, right? Because we are exhausted. We're exhausted, right? I was in a relationship that was literally transactional. And I didn't realize it, right? I'm thinking I'm building this friendship, I'm building whatever, and then realizing like, oh snap, this is really just a transactional relationship. But I had an expectation, right? And I was always saying yes, right, to that individual and saying yes to this organization. And it was really unhealthy. It was really unhealthy. Because again, I saw the need and I wanted to help with the need and I wanted to fill the gap. And so my one yes, right, turned into multiple yes. Turned into, okay, I got to show up. Okay, I got to do this. I got to do that. I mean, literally to the point where now, right, I'm able, I wake up on the weekend and I'm like, man, I feel like I have so much time. Although it's the same amount of time, but I feel like I have more time, right? Because I'm not so quick to be running somewhere based off of trying to fill in the gap for an event or whatever the case may be. No, I'm not participating. No, I don't want to go. No, I'm preparing for something else. No, I'm just not going to do that. I'll catch you next time. Or I'll bring, when I'm done doing what I'm doing, then I'll bring something by. Like, that is where I had to get to. And again, I feel like there's so much time now. Like, I'm already an early riser, right? So I've already done like 10 things, right by 7 o'clock. The average person probably only did one, which was get up, right? So you have to push the button that's underneath it. So let me see. This is this part right here. I'm giving my yes. So you push it up and then you hit the button. But that's not for what I think you're about to use that for.
Oh, right.
That's not for outside. Don't think about it. Anywho, so what we're talking about. Yes, okay. So I'm giving up things like, peace. I'm giving up peace. And then we're always asking for peace, or I would just need to get into a place where there's peace. Well, you have the authority and you have the responsibility that you can create your own peace. You can literally create your own peace. But it's based upon how you're moving, what you are saying yes and no to. You can either continue in the chaos or you can create your environment of peace. It's just that. And see, when you begin to, use your no as your power, then people are looking at you sideways. Literally looking like as you lost your mind because you said no. That's what I'm saying. There's a balance. I ain't saying say no to every single thing, right? And it's just all about you. No, I'm not saying be selfish in this, but I am saying boundaries. Boundaries. Because burnout, right, that's what a lot of us have gone through or are going through right now, right, is very detrimental to our health. Anxiety, depression, right? Physical, things are happening, right? Your stomach ulcers, right? You're overly stressed. You're sweating constantly. Like, these are signs that you are at burnout, that you are overly stressed. Are you overly stressed because you're doing so much on your job. You're doing so much for a nonprofit organization. You're doing so much because you're volunteering. You're doing so much because in your home. Like, what? Seriously, though. Really? What's the burnout? What's the burnout? I mean, if you are overly stressed and you are burned out, you end up lashing out on people, right, that it has nothing to do with the situation or whatever. And we tend to lash out on our family members first because, of course, it's a safe place. They're, whatever, they got to deal with us anyway. We got to live with them. They're going to be okay. They're going to forgive us eventually, right? But is that really okay to take out that pressure on them because of a situation that we have created for our own selves? Seriously, think about like the complaining that's happening right now. Can you change that situation? Yes, you can. You know how you can change it? Peace. That's literally how you can change that situation. I mean, and then another sign is that the things that used to be joyful to you are no longer joyful. Like you literally allowed these things to take away the things that you found joy in, that you took pleasure in. Your woo-saw moments and things of that nature. Like literally, you took that away. And then, so again, talking about the myth of being selflessness, right? Because I do use that a lot in a lot of things that I do, like, when I'm saying be a servant leader, right? To be selflessness or whatever, that you should, right? That we grew up, that we're to love all people, right? No matter what. But in that, again, we weren't taught how to love, right? And love ourselves. That's the thing. That's the key. We weren't taught to love all people, but to first love ourselves. I think it's very challenging and almost really impossible, to be honest with you, to really love other people and don't love yourself. Because if you don't know how to take care of yourself, you're really not being responsible, again, in taking care of other people and other things. We've been taught to love other people unhealthy, right, by shrinking our own selves. Being available at all times for all people. Being agreeable. Making sure that we're consistent. Consistency is the key. Consistency is the key. No, being consistent is the key. I'm going to be consistent in living a balanced life. I'm going to be consistent in making sure that my health is well. Like there's no reason at all, if you're a single mother, right, no matter how many children that you have, that you're a single mother and you are constantly, right, volunteering for different outings and boards and organizations, and you're always throwing your hands up at work, just so you can show that you're a team player and you're working more hours. Hello. Your first responsibility is your children. If you have a job, whatever the case may be, you're still going to get paid. And I know, like, I had a person that I once knew, well, I still know this person, right? But they tend to, used to work so much that they wanted to make sure that their children had, and they had the opportunity to travel and experience things or whatever. And it's interesting to know that now that, they're older, their children complains about you weren't there. Nah, you weren't there. So do children really care about all the hype and this and that? I mean, they might put a little pressure there, but at the end of the day, they really don't. As long as they're loved, they're taken care of, they're nourished, all of those other things will come eventually. There's always a ram in the bush. There's always other ways to get an experience. But when they see that you're spending so much time somewhere else, then you know what they do? Internalize that, oh, we're not as important. Because if we were, then mom will be spending more time with me. Because they're giving all their time over there. Right? You can be consistent and not give all of you. Boundaries. Boundaries. I think I said this before in another episode. Boundaries. I put alarms on my phone. I put a do not disturb on there at certain times. If I want to take a phone call at a certain period of time or pick up the phone, I am making the choice to do that. But I'm putting boundaries in place. Right? And then I'm making sure that I don't do certain things in certain periods of time because I don't want people to think that it's okay. Because we teach people how to treat us. There is a difference between serving people and losing yourself in the process. And I had already said that I had lost myself in the process. That I didn't even realize that I had lost myself in the process. Thinking that I was doing such a great thing. I'm serving. I'm present. I'm here. They're valuing, my work and my opinion and things of that nature that they're, I'm thinking these things. But I'm losing myself in it. That's not being selfless. That's being foolish. Yes, I was being foolish. And if you're doing the same thing, you are being foolish. Now, I didn't have like physical elements going on. I didn't have high blood pressure or things of that nature. I do have low blood pressure, but I didn't have anything of those natures. But I know people that have ulcers because of stress. And it's like, yo, calm it down. Like, what are we doing? But there's other things. Like, I was snappy with my loved ones in the house. I was snappy. That's not right. They don't deserve that. And then when I was like, okay, we got to take a trip. We got to do this or whatever. And it takes you so much time to get relaxed that by the time that you're relaxed, it's time to get back on the plane, to get back to the grind of life. And you're dreading it so much that you can't enjoy even traveling back. Come on, talk to me. Anybody else been there? Or you're there right now? We were never meant to be everything to everyone. Gaps will be there. But there are other people that can fill those gaps. It's actually prideful to think that you can be all things to all people. It's actually pride. It really is. And we allow our pride and our ego to get in the way of things. Because you can't be all things to all people. Boundaries are not barriers. And don't let anybody else tell you that. You need to set boundaries because they are not barriers. Again, this right here, I do use it. Not to scroll or whatever, but I use it to set boundaries. I use it to remind myself, right, of the no's and the yeses. See, the boundaries are the bridges to deeper and healthier relationships. I'm choosing what's healthy for me. Not for you, not for the organization, but what's healthy for me. And I have to say to myself that I love you, but I also love me. And loving me is making sure that I am healthy. Why? So when I do serve, that you get the best me. Not the empty me. Not the over overran me, not the drained me, not the, overwhelmed me. So as we're closing out, right, I want to ask this question to you that I want you to think about, right, during this week. I really want you to ponder on this. Where am I giving from? A place of emptiness instead of a place of fullness? And more importantly, what's the one thing I can do this week, this month, that will fill my own cup and be guilt-free? And if you can't be guilt-free doing it, then it's time to reevaluate what it is that you are doing. All right, everyone, that is our time for today. I thank you so much for listening and joining in. But seriously, we cannot be all things to all people. We cannot be all things to all people. And I don't want you to live life and go through life in depression and anxiety and overly stressed and overly whelmed. So really take some time to consider this conversation on today. Really take some time to do that. All right, I love you. There's nothing that you can do about it. Do know that leading is teachable. And until next time.